Hi, I'm Thomas Engelkamp, and this is my submission for Speech 1110. And this is my audience. Thanks for coming, guys. So, for timing purposes, my speech starts now. Do you remember your freshman year? Maybe you don't. Maybe you're trying to block it out right now because it was so painful to think about just now. But my freshman year was really rough because my freshman year was my first year of school ever. I was homeschooled up till 8th grade, and so this transition was especially rough for me. And I remember my first day of school. I walked into the school to find my class with my mom. It was the week before classes started, and I was wearing socks and sandals and an Aquaman t-shirt, which I thought was the funniest thing ever, because Aquaman is the worst superhero, and his power is that he can talk to fishes. Fish. But now that I've been through it, I can say that there are three most important things that made me successful at Bellevue West High School. And that was the dynamic view of intelligence, the importance of a good work ethic, and the importance of setting high goals. And so, the one takeaway that I want you to have from this speech is that you need to show up and you need to grow up when you're faced with challenges. So, even though I was a freshman, I had no social skills, and my dad made me wear a polo every single day. I could say that the first challenge that I encountered was the challenge of being compared to others. So when you're homeschooled, you're not really compared to other people because there's no one in your grade. The only people that you are really compared to are siblings, and some people don't even have those. So I was never really compared to somebody else's test score or maybe a time at a track meet, or there's always somebody faster than me or somebody smarter than me. I never encountered that until I was in 8th grade. And so now that I'm in freshman year, I really had a choice. I was faced with a dilemma. And that choice was, can I do something about this? Can I change the way that I think? Or can I be better at learning things? Or am I stuck with the cards that I'm dealt with? And so I decided that I was going to be proactive about it. And that's when I really first developed this dynamic view of intelligence. So, I ended up getting straight A's my freshman year, and I thought that I was a hot shot. And the next summer, I ended up taking summer school PE, and for some reason one day I thought, you know, maybe I should just take all the hardest classes that I can take. And so I walked into the office, and I wrote this note out to the secretary, and mind you, homeschoolers have horrible handwriting too. So I'm writing this handwritten note that's in Chinese pictograms, and I hand it to the secretary, and she's like, I have no idea what this means. And I'm like, I want to sign up for harder classes. And so she writes down, TJ Engelkamp would like to sign up for Chemistry Advanced and AP World History. Little did I know, AP World History was going to be the hardest class that I've ever taken in my life, even in college, and I'm going to be graduating next May. So, taking World History AP, as I said, was the hardest thing that I had probably done in high school, and it was just tons of work. The teacher, on a given day, I wouldn't be surprised if she said this. So for today's homework, we'll have a test next week, so start studying for that. We're going to have a study guide to turn in the day before the test, and then there's a quiz on Wednesday, study guide for that too. Also, reading guide, read the whole chapter, and while you're at it, read the entire Bible tonight. So it was tons of work. And I'm also in Chemistry Advanced, which was intellectually challenging. It wasn't as much work, but I had never really encountered hard science classes either. And so I decided that I was going to study at 4:30 in the morning every day, because that was the only time that was quiet in my house, because I have like 6 siblings. So I'm studying at 4:30 every morning. My dad's seeing my dedication, and he's like, why are you doing this? And it's because I know that if you show up and you grow up, that you can make a difference in your trajectory. And I was also running cross country, so I would get home at 5:30, and I'd be exhausted, and I would just go to bed, no problem, at 8:30 at night, and wake up at 4:30. So that's when I really truly learned the importance of work ethic. And the third thing is the importance of setting high goals. And so now I'm in AP World History, and I'm studying at 4:30 every morning, and I've decided that I'm going to get a 4 or above on this test. And the way AP scale works is a 5 out of 5 is acing the test. And so I'm taking the exam at the end of the year, and my hands are shaking, I'm super nervous, and I do pretty well on the multiple choice section. And then we get to the essay section, and one of the questions is, describe the continuity and change over time of the sub-Saharan trade routes between 500 and 1000 AD. That means nothing to you, I'm sure. But that meant everything to me because I knew exactly what they were talking about. And I wrote down verbatim this sentence from the textbook, or a rough summary. One of the continuities of the sub-Saharan trade route was that tortoiseshells, ivory, silk, frankincense, gold, myrrh, and my little brother's hamster were all traded throughout 500 and 1000 BC. And I was just super nerdy about this class because I love history. And so later I had a good feeling about the test, and I log on in June to see my scores. And I log on, hands shaking again, and I see that I got a 5. And I seriously started crying because I'd worked so hard to get this. And I called my mom and I go, Mom, you're not going to believe it. I'm officially a nerd. And that's when I knew that my academics were really going to be important to me for the next 2 years. And the next challenge that I encountered was probably, or at least the most significant after that point, was my senior year of high school. I took chemistry AP to get my lab credit out of the way for college, because my goal, my high goal after that point, was not to get a 5 on this next AP test, but to go into college with 30 credits, meaning that my freshman year was already done. And so I was really, really struggling in chemistry AP, and there was a point where I just wanted to drop it. And I called my brother, and he said, you know, TJ, if you don't need it, then you don't need to take it. I said, you know, like, you're really successful and you're really smart, but like, I think I need to challenge myself and stick through this. And the next week I talked to my teacher about it, and she said, TJ, if you stick to this and you put work in, I promise you that you're going to get a 3 on this test and you're going to pass the course. And I did. And now, in college, chem has been one of the hardest classes across the board for people, at least talking about it, and I'm so glad that I got it out of the way and stuck through it. I mentioned cross country earlier. Last May, I ran a half marathon, and when I got to mile 11, it hurt so bad and I wanted to quit, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to reach my goal. And I challenge all of you today to find your mile 11, to push through it, to take that hard class, and after a bad exam, not just give up. So, to recap, I've told you the importance of dynamic intelligence, the importance of a hard work ethic or a good work ethic, and the importance of setting high goals. And I want to leave with you today my personal motto, which is always move forward, and you got to show up and you got to grow up. Thank you.